Hey everyone, it's Trader Rob. Today is Wednesday, July 23rd. Man, just had a pretty brutal couple days of trading. I must say, I think between yesterday or maybe Monday and today, Wednesday, just in general, one price action has really sucked. I mean, it's really kind of sucked ass. Um, and I'll kind of go into that in a little bit too on the charts as to what I'm seeing. But yeah, just had some really unfortunate losers on the super signal and on the regular signals. Had some winners, but just some really uncharacteristic losses already here this week. That hopefully we can recover from tomorrow and Friday. But with that being said, as today is my midweek review, I will go in and update the weekly bands, the tradable levels. Just looking right here on the NQ, gave you this level at 23,159. Obviously, this big push down is, I mean, this is the one that really hurt me. But you know, after that big push, you can see how well um, this was pretty respected, right? Perfect touch right there. Beautiful bounce right here to, I want to say this was about a 200-point bounce right off of here. But I'll get into all the tradable levels, the new tradable levels that I'm looking at, and some updates to the weekly bands right after the intro. As always, nothing that I state on my channel is financial advice. Trading futures or any type of trading is risky business. Any capital that is put out there is at risk for loss. All right, so let's start off with this NQ. The price action has been rough. We've just been getting. This is a 1 hour. These are 1 hour charts that I always show on the weekly bands. But if you look over the last day and a half of trading, you do get some really big pushes to the downside. You get a lot of chop, and then you just get these really big pushes, which trading off of volume. You know, I'm always looking on mine. I'm always looking to the left-hand side of my chart to take a look at the volume profile. But a lot of this chop right here, even though we are moving, we're breaking some higher highs, um, and we are moving the market. It's just not moving the last couple of days. It's just not been very rhythmic at all, and it's been a little challenging. So I'm hoping here that we'll take a look at price action tomorrow and Friday and kind of see if things kind of start to settle down. But with that being said, let me go in and update the bands here. I'm going to make an adjustment to this, to the band that's sitting below where price action has been. Obviously, it had, even with this sharp move to the downside, it had a really hard time. It stayed in this band for pretty much a day and a half. So I'm going to make a slight adjustment to this band now based on where volume moved pretty strongly from the big push to the upside. And this is now going to sit at 23,295 all the way down to 23,190. Okay, so it's a slight move, but those slight moves, slight adjustments on the bands are extremely important because again, these new, especially the upper edges and the lower edges, you're going to see some pretty strong reactions too. Obviously, this move caused a big amount of volume over here, so that's why these adjustments start to get made. I am going to remove, or I'm actually going to update this tradable level. We've tapped into this multiple times and had some pretty big reactions from there. But I'm going to change this one. I'm going to bring this one actually down to 23,050. Okay, so that's going to be my new tradable level on the NQ. Obviously, price action's got to make a pretty good move to the downside. It's got to still get through this band, but definitely chart up on, or mark up on your chart, the 23,050. We got another tradable level sitting below it at 22,984. And then we've got this weekly band here that sits at the 22,900 down to the 22,833. Kind of consider this my base at this point. You know, obviously if we get down to this level, we're going to see a very, very strong reaction at this point. But we need a big move by the NQ to the downside to even get to this area. And there is a tradable level that still sits in this weekly band that's at 22,866. Taking a look at the ES. So the ES, if we take a look, video came out somewhere around here. And obviously we've got the point of control now that's sitting right around 63.05. This weekly band that we had below price action between 62.78 and 62.40 still hasn't been touched into. Tradable level at the 62.55. But again, we need price action to get down there for us to have those trades kind of come into play. And it's still got to eat up through a pretty big amount of volume to even get down to this band, which is going to kind of play into this new weekly band that I'm going to show you guys right now. Let's grab this guy here. There we go. Let's move him to the upside. Okay, and this new band is going to sit at 63.52 down to 63.17. And let's make this a little clearer. Okay, so here now we've got a new band sitting below where price action's at. Obviously, if we get down to this band, we're going to see a hard time getting through this volume. And it's kind of sandwiched in between, obviously, the point of control, which this area right here, I've been really trying to eye pretty strongly for a trade setup, but even though we've got a shit ton of volume here, I still can't find a tradable level from it here. Feel a lot more confident at the 62.55, and there is a level that sits right above this band up here that we're going to mark out. And this one is going to sit at the 63.67. There you go. All right, so below where price action currently sits, you've got a tradable level at 63.67. You got the new updated weekly band at 63.52 down to 63.17. Obviously, the point of control sandwiched kind of in between these two bands, and the band below us sits at 62.78 down to 62.40. And again, pretty strong tradable level here at the 62.55. So this hopefully gives you kind of a roadmap for where price action might react to once we get down into these bigger bands, and more importantly, more detailed, more scalpable when it hits these tradable levels that I have marked out. Taking a look at the trades for the week. Let's start off on Monday, 7/21. Call out a setup for a long at the 23,393 level on the NQ. Just marked it off, obviously, with volume. Had a TP1 and a TP2 in play there, as most of my signals have. And we did get into this trade, so this hit our entry. Took a lot more drawdown than what I consider to be acceptable. So right off the bat, with this amount of drawdown, I know that my personal setup here was, or I should say my level, Tradable level was not the greatest. This did go in and hit my TP1, but was never able to gain the traction to hit TP2, which was sitting right above it. I actually thought on this push to the upside we would get it, but we did not. So only able to get to TP1 on that trade. And let's see what else we got here. Then yesterday had a super signal on the NQ, and this was that pretty big dump off that we had. Called along at the 23,261. I think we had this trade set up, played out for maybe about a day or two before the trade actually came into the entry. And we did. We got the reaction that I wanted right off of my entry. This thing went up for about 20, I'm going to say 23 or 24 points of profit before it just didn't have the defense to, obviously, to get up to my TP, and just went straight down into the stop loss. So the setup was there. There was just way too much downwards momentum, and I took a loss there, took a loser there. Yeah, it was 24 points of profit before the dump continued on that one. And had a signal loser on an entry on the NQ to go long at the 23,154. And again, this just blew right through my entry and knocked my stop loss on this one pretty quickly. Down 645 yesterday times two accounts, two cash accounts that I trade these on. So that one was a tough day. Like I said, I mean, I don't want to brag or I mean, I think this was like the first losing day of July for me. I mean, at least that's what it's really felt. It's, if anything, maybe a small loss here or there, but this was the first good loss for the month of July, right smack between these two trades right here. And would have loved to say that today got any better, but it didn't. This one was, man, I hate even talking about this one because this one was extremely unfortunate. So I entered in a signal here this morning. This one really hurts just talking about it, but for a short, and I know that most of these examples have been on the NQ. We do trade a lot on the ES. It's just for one reason or the other. The NQ where a lot of the actual setups occurred over the last couple of days. Called for a short at the 23,201, and as you can see, this trade would have worked out absolutely perfect. Had my my reasoning for where my stop loss was placed, but as you can see, my stop loss amount was 23,215. Well, the stop loss that I had entered into the signal service was at 23,2105. So I actually inverted the 5 and the 0 together, which was pretty damn stupid of me. So just good mental mistake here today. Probably the first one that I've had like this since ever even starting, but that's, I guess, trading. We are not all perfect. What else? Call out a setup here again this morning. This was a long at the 23,141, and as you can see, this thing came about, I don't know, it was about a point or two away from my entry, came right back to sweep TP1 and TP2. So missed this trade by about a point or 2 points. And then after that, it's obviously invalidated at that point. I'm not willing to take that trade anymore because the original setup was correct. It was what I was looking for, but just missed my entry. So That one also hurt because I wasn't able to capitalize on that move. And this sucker today. Been waiting on this trade, short at the 23,254. Really like this level. I mean, I really, everything was lining up very nicely for this. And price action was creeping to my entry. And we got the tariff headline, I don't know, I think it was somewhere around noon today. What time was this? Right. No, it was around 11 o'clock, 11 a.m. this morning Central Time. Tariff came and just, I mean, just there was no stopping any of this here. This was just an absolute rocket. And then kind of settled down, and price action really moved to where I kind of thought that it was going to move after that. So again, just unfortunate. Three really bad trades, and I hate to say unfortunate and a little unlucky, because I don't really believe in that, because I get a lot of traders that, especially on Discord, where you miss out on a trade and you feel like the market's against you, and sometimes you'll take a trade, or maybe you sat on the sidelines for 2 or 3 trades that all turn out to be winners, and then you jump into that fourth trade and that's the loser, and you say that the market's kind of against you, or news hits a couple of seconds, and rocket ships and takes out your stop loss. But personally, I'm a big believer of, for every crazy thing that happens in the market for the bad, you usually will get balanced out with something for the good. There's been many times where I'll leave I'll leave my station or my office, and I'll have a limit order out and kind of waiting for a setup to occur. And I get home and it's aftermarket, and the limit order was still there, which would have always canceled my limit order before. Hits my entry, goes to my take profit, awesome trade. So I feel like there's the market has a crazy way of kind of balancing things out. So it is what it is. So far, a rough Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, but ultimately what really matters at the end of the day is to have a strategy that you have full confidence in, and knowing that you're going to have days like this in the market, and it's how you kind of rebound. It's the avoidance of over trading or revenge trading. I mean, when I took that loss, it was, I think I took because it blew right through my stop loss. There was really not much liquidity in the market at that point. So I had some slippage on the loss. I think it was about $500 or $480 times 2 of my cash accounts. And trust me, right after that, the first thing that goes into your mind is, man, I want to get that money back. But that's a recipe for disaster as well. So let the market balance you out. That's the name of the day for today. All right, hopefully we get some better trading days here Thursday and Friday. You guys have hopefully a new roadmap to take a look at and see what I'm seeing in the markets. And if you're looking to trade the levels, on how I map out my levels each and every morning, there's a video in the description below that will show you how I come up with these levels each day. Give you guys an example. So each day I have my levels drawn out. My solid blue line is the 15-minute time frame. The dotted line is the 5-minute time frame. And then there is a second part to that video, which is how you incorporate the volume profile into your trade setups, how you can kind of come up with your entries, your stop loss, and your take profits. Highly encourage you to take a look at those 2 videos that I have in the description, and then obviously join the Discord. It's free. You can compare your levels to my levels that I map out each and every morning, and hopefully you start getting confidence in your strategy as well. Take care, everyone.